Just before the break, we mentioned that Tim Hortons franchises are being targeted by protesters. This is one of those demonstrations. They were put together by organized labor in support of the new minimum wage. In response to the wage hike, some franchise owners have cut paid breaks and benefits for some workers.
The labor demonstrators say this is not a boycott. Our Janice Golding is live at Bloor and St. George this hour with more on the protest. Janice.
Michelle, this is actually the 7th protest to take place outside of a Tim Hortons franchise this morning, and there are 3 more scheduled this afternoon. And as you said, this is not a boycott, but organizers say they are trying to send a very clear message.
Double for justice for Tim's workers.
Demonstrators have been gathering outside Tim Hortons franchises across the city today to protest cutbacks to pay and benefits following the January hike in the province's minimum wage.
Our message here today is that every Tim Hortons workers deserve fairness. We are sending a message to the corporate head office of Restaurant Brands International that paid $14 billion for Tim's 3 years ago and took in $3 billion in revenues last year, that they should direct all the franchise owners of Tim's to rescind any of the punitive measures that were brought in.
At Markham Road and Lawrence Avenue East, workers were told they couldn't accept tips or have paid breaks.
Imagine taking away a coffee break from people serving coffee at Tim's. I mean, that's outrageous.
16 actions have been organized across the province from Windsor to Cobourg. Organizers say they want the parent company to recognize the harm being done to the brand.
RBI has the muscle to reverse this, and I'm giving them an opportunity to reverse what's taken place as of today. If they choose not to, we will ramp up the pressure across the province of Ontario.
The Great White North Franchisee Association, which represents Tim Hortons franchisees, would not comment today, referring us instead to a press release issued last week wherein they stated it is the goal of GWNFA and its members to mitigate job losses if at all possible, and as a result, franchisees have been forced to take steps to protect their businesses in this new fiscal reality brought on by these substantial labor cost increases. It adds the minimum wage hike, in addition to other changes to the provincial labor laws, will cost the average franchisee close to $244,000 a year. As for Tim Hortons itself, it said in a press release from last week, these recent actions by a few restaurant owners do not reflect the values of our brand. While our restaurant owners have found this sudden transition challenging, Tim Hortons team members should never be used to further an agenda or be treated as just an expense.
We are going to make sure that they're respected and they're not disadvantaged by greedy multinational companies.
In January, the minimum wage went up from $11.60 to $14 an hour. It will rise to $15 an hour in 2019. Now, critics here say they don't believe consumers would mind paying an extra few cents for a cup of coffee if it would mean a decent living wage for Tim Hortons employees. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice.